Pinot Noir. Pinot Noir is, for me, the mecca of wine grapes.
It's also the bitch of wine grapes
It
too.
is. It's many things, but, Pinot Noir, it has a combination of very complex fruit, which a number of other grapes have, but it also has beautiful texture to it. The texture of Pinot, I don't think can be beat because it just has this silkiness of texture. In Australia, I think we often, we forget about texture a bit. We ignore it. We go, right, what does it taste like? Is it mouth-filling? Bang. Am I going to, I'll just drink it. Whereas this stuff, it's about texture. It's about finesse. It's about elegance. None of which are things that I possess. But it's just beautiful to look at. I mean, Pinot Noir should always be kind of mid-ruby in colour. If you see dark Pinot Noir, look, it's not right. Pinot Noir,
I disagree with
that. True. No, because often when it's really light, it means they've put some stems into the ferment, and that can make it a bit more interesting. But it just has this beautiful. This is all right. Beautiful lifted perfume. I mean, what do you look for in Pinot?
The great thing about Pinot is that it manages to combine the things you look for in red wine. So you're thinking about tannins and structure and body, as well as having quite a feminine sort of personality. This is you're talking about wine that is both soft as well as being firm at the same time. It has those many different layers to it, and I think that's what I really appreciate about Pinot. Unlike, say, Shiraz or Cabernet, which is very much quite a forceful wine.
Do you know what Jancis says?
What?
Jancis Robinson, she says that Cabernet Sauvignon is very much an above-the-shoulders wine. It's kind of an academic wine. You kind of think about it, and it's big and it's bold, and you kind of get it. Chardonnay's, I should say, Pinot Noir is really below the belt. It really is. It's something that appeals to your soul. It's got these kind of elements to you that get you excited more than any other wine, I think. This is a bloody lovely wine. I mean, you look for lifted perfume. Pinot Noir and Nebbiolo are two grapes that have beautiful kind of perfume, and this just, I could almost smell it for days. Really, it's a bit earthy. It's a bit spicy. There's a bit of Chinese 5 spice in there even. But then there's this beautiful red fruit underneath it. This is from Marlborough, which makes some actually Pinot Noir. Some people would say that Pinot's better than the Sauvignon Blanc. I won't go into that either. This is a beautiful wine.
Yeah. What I think that is the difference between Pinot Noir and many other grapes. We're talking more about Cabernet, more about Shiraz and Merlot, is that because it is actually really quite a hard wine to get right. I mean, it's really very difficult in the vineyard to get it perfectly right. It's quite finicky in the winery. You have to really know your site. You have to know your winemaking to make it really well. That because there is so much more that people invest in the wines, that they end up being much more of a passionate exercise. You can almost feel like, and it sounds quite pretentious to be saying so, but you can almost taste a bit of passion in these sort of wines. Yeah. They end up as much more sensual than what can be, as you're talking about before, I guess, about an above-the-shoulder sort of style of wine. And I think that's what also you seem to taste that much more. I mean, you can't just make industrial Pinot. You can't just use mega tankers to make Pinot because it doesn't have soul. Whereas great Pinot, it tastes like earth. It tastes. It's a bit funky. It's a bit stinky. It's a bit weird sometimes, but it tastes real. Yeah. And I think that's what I really like in great Pinot. Yeah. I mean, we're talking great Pinots of the world. We're talking about places, things like we're talking about the great Burgundies, for example, and they're from these tiny little estates that have been farming these one little tiny plots, and it's all about biodynamics, and it's all about hands-on winemaking in tiny little batches. It's all about tiny little selected little plots that are the very best.
And that's why Pinot people, sometimes known as Pinophiles, they really are just so dedicated to it because there are only a couple of spots in the world that really make it. It's Eastern France, it's Martinborough, Marlborough, maybe also Canterbury and Otago.
In Australia, you got Yarra,
Washington State, Oregon, and then WA, maybe not, Tassie. There's not that many places. You go to Shiraz, you go
over there anyway.
Most places in Australia, do a half decent Shiraz.
Yep.
Except maybe Tassie. Yep. But Pinot, you've got to search out. That's why they're not cheap as well.
Very much so.
Because with other grapes, with Shiraz and Cabernet, when you start making more, when you start increasing your volumes, quality kind of goes down slowly. Do that
Pinot.
with Pinot.
Big drop.
Straight to the floor. So Pinot, what are you looking for? Light colour, not too much colour.
Ah.
Perfume, complexity, length, just like everything else, but just silk. You want to be, it's like drinking red satin sheets.